Okay, this lesson we will be focusing on paragraph writing for open-ended questions, OEQ, factor paragraph writing. So what we will be looking at is the processes that go through, okay, how you think about the factor writing, the paragraph writing, how you formulate what needs to go in, as well as how do you appreciate the question itself and what are some of the trigger words that you need to note. Okay, so we'll be dealing it using cluster 1 topic area on hazards. So your question, which is given to you in your exercise as well, right? This deals with the canteen, right? The statement is the canteen is the most prone to fire hazards of all locations in school. Do you agree? Explain your answer. Now, let's unpack this first. Okay, so what are we looking at? We're looking at the canteen. Okay, canteen as the most prone, right? To what? To fire hazards in school. So you're locked within school itself, no other locations. The hazard is fire hazards, and you're actually looking at locations, right? Locations. So the given location is the canteen. You must handle the canteen. You must deal with the canteen. And the word I've underlined, double underlined here, the word most is actually an indicator of how many areas or how many factors you must have in your answer. Now, when you see the word most, you must include three. Three factors, three locations, three strategies, three hazards. Right? It must be three. Why? Because grammatically, if you only have two, what can you say? You can only say that I am more. Okay, I am more prone, I am more inclined, I am more whatever. You cannot say you're most. You need three to be most. So this is a grammatical lock. It locks you into how many factors you have to write. So one of these ways to know is to check how many factors, what are they, what's the term of comparison here. Okay, so if it's more, it's better, it can be two, it can be three. If it's most or it's best, right, then it needs to be three. Otherwise, it can only be better, it can only be more. Okay, now what are we going to look at then? Since the canteen is given, right, always remember your first paragraph will be the given factor or the given location or the given hazard or the given strategy. Okay, so you must deal with that first. If you don't and you run out of time, you will have been taken as non-OEQ. You didn't answer the question. So whatever you have written, however long your first paragraph will have been, it will be void because it doesn't answer the question, right? So always deal with the given factor first. So one reason why school canteen can be prone, right, is because of these few things, right? There's always presence of flammable items, there's presence of cooking materials. Then let's think about this. What exactly are flammable items that are in the school canteen, right? Cardboard boxes. I'm very sure you have seen these before, right? Your food material, okay, your packaging, all these are flammable. Okay, so keep this in mind. These are all things that you can choose to include in your answer itself. Okay, equipment and appliances, things like your stoves, ovens, deep fryers. What do they use? They need some sort of fuel, right? And fuel is even worse because if there's a large fire and the fuel is not cut off, you will have an explosion. Okay, fuel can either be in the form of pipe gas, LPG gas tanks, a liquefied petroleum gas tanks, which is used for cooking, or it can be electricity, right? These are all possible um, fuel, right? That's widely available in the school canteen. Okay. More importantly, if they're not used, this equipment not used, there will be no risk. But these equipment are constantly being used. Okay. Why? Because they need to provide food, right? So the hawkers there constantly use them to cook so that they have food to sell to the students during recess. Right, so food is prepared to meet the needs during recess. During this period of time, the recess peak timings and the lunch peak timings, what happens? Are the hawkers able to then, well, produce more? Are they required to produce more? Why is there more risk when they are doing this? Okay, when you are using even larger amounts of equipment, larger amounts of fuel, right? Or more importantly, what happens to the attention span? Okay. Why do I write attention span down here? Because this is rather unique in the canteen situation when we are having this attention span issue. When is the peak recess timing, the hawker's attention is clearing and selling off as much food as possible, right? But at the same time, there could be something boiling in the back. So are their attention span going to be as good as if it wasn't a peak timing, if they were just doing the prep? Okay, what happens when there's a 5 minute lag between the last time they look at it in open flame and while they are dealing with the canteen front end sales? Okay, what if there are only one? There's only one hawker. What if there are only two of them and both of them up front, right? So these are things that you may want to consider putting into your factor paragraph. Okay, do not take a stand. I repeat, you've done this before. Do not take a stand in your factor paragraphs. Your factor paragraphs are just informative, okay, paragraphs that give you a context. Then when you take that stand, when you do the comparison and evaluation, only in your evaluation paragraph. Okay, prior to that, we are just setting context, giving us as much information as you have, as you would like to provide for us, so that we can clearly understand that you know what you're talking about. Now, what about the other paragraphs? Okay, of course, you can also talk about limitations. You need to talk about limitations. What can help mitigate this, the issue at the canteen, right? So, would regular maintenance and inspection work? Okay, so that there's no fault of the cooking appliance. It doesn't short circuit and cause a fire, right? Or would a fire suppression system work so that when there is a sudden fire, the sprinklers come on and they extinguish the fire? Okay, or would better training actually work so the canteen staff have safe cooking practices, safe process where they do not stack the flammable items near the naked flame, right? Monitoring, would it be better if you had a monitoring system where you had somebody who is employed to monitor the back end of the cooking for all the stores, right? Would that help? Okay, would that help? That's important. Right. So that's one location, right? So bearing in mind, we come back to the question itself. The question says most, so we need two other locations. So what are the other two locations that we can explore? There are potential fire hazards in school. Okay, science labs, right? Maybe the chemistry lab. Okay, specifically chemistry lab because chemistry lab has a lot more flammable equipment there. Okay, flammable items, flammable materials that is used for your day-to-day chemistry practices, right? So this is one thing that you can explore and you can put down. Right, what exactly is there? What are there limitations or mitigation measures that you can put in place in the chemistry lab or are already in place in the chemistry lab? The other one will be the kitchen. Okay, the FCE kitchen. Right, what is there in the FCE kitchen? Actually, if you think about it carefully, FCE kitchen is like a microscopic version of the school canteen, right? So when you're looking at FCE kitchen, what exactly is there? Why is it different from the school canteen? Right? Does it look as messy as the canteen stalls? Okay, I trust you've looked beyond the canteen holders into the stall before while you're waiting for your food. Okay, and you should have an understanding that it doesn't look really like the FCE kitchen. It's not so bright, it's not so clean. Things are not stacked as neatly and away from all your flammable, explosive items. Okay, why is it like this? Right? Are there limitations? Are there mitigations that are put in place? Okay, when we talk about monitoring earlier on in or attention span or focus, what is it like in the science lab and the kitchen? So for this particular exercise, I have actually given you an evaluation paragraph. Okay, I've put in an evaluation paragraph for you, right? It is inside the worksheet that you'll be getting. Okay, I take the stand of an agreement. Okay, so you take a look, what is my common criteria? My common criteria in comparison is amount of monitoring. So I'm going to focus on this concept, which is something that's applicable to all three factors, which I feel impacts the likelihood or the how prone these locations are to fire hazards happening. Okay, so I'm going to talk about canteen, amount of monitoring. I will then need to talk about what happens in a science lab and a school kitchen, FCE kitchen. Okay, what is the difference in the amount of monitoring or the level of monitoring? Okay, who applies this monitoring? And then, because of the lack of this, what happens? Why is it that the school canteen is going to be more at risk of this? Okay, so bear in mind when you're doing your evaluation, right, the criteria that you pick has to be equally applicable to all three factors. Okay, it's the same criteria that you can see applied in different degrees in the factors. I repeat, it's the same criteria that is applied in different degrees on the different factors. Because this ensures fairness, right? This concept of fairness is very important. If you don't have, if you are not able to ensure fairness, right, then it's not going to be taken to be a good evaluation. Okay. Now, of course, if you want to practice your evaluation paragraph and you have time later, right, please go ahead and craft in your own evaluation paragraph. If you don't want to use a monitoring amount of monitoring as your common criteria, you can pick your own. I'm fine with that. You want to practice? I'm fine with that. You can put that down in the empty space after the evaluation paragraph box. Okay. Now you will note that in the boxes I've given you in the exercise are not very big. This is also partially to control how much you write. Okay. Please bear in mind, I don't need to write everything excessively. I need to learn to be concise, detailed, and concise at the same time. Okay, so with that, you are now to complete the three-factor paragraph, because this is a factor paragraph, a paragraph writing practice. So I've given you the evaluation paragraph, but once again, like I said, you can choose to add in your own evaluation paragraph if you have time, or if you would like to, so that I could mark it for you if you want to. Okay. So with that, please proceed to the exercise and complete the exercise. Thank you.